open windows. And then you can kind of see here, there's a tunnel that connects our school building to the residence hall. So the nice thing is, in the winter, especially when it gets a little chilly, students can just walk through the tunnel from their residence hall to their school building. They don't even have to leave and go outside if they don't want. So that's a little bit about our campus. We are a day and boarding school. So we're grades 6 through 12, but for boarding, we're mainly 9 through 12, sometimes grade 8 for boarding on special occasions, but usually it's 9 through 12 for boarding. We are located in Minnesota, so kind of central Minnesota, about an hour and 15 minutes northwest of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And then, like I said, we have that college campus affiliation with St. John's University and the College of St. Benedict. So our students can take college classes either at St. John's or College of St. Benedict, and that can just give them a head start on college classes and just kind of give them a competitive edge when they're applying for colleges. Our student body, we have 288 total students now, and that's grades 6 through 12. Of the upper school, we have 25% international students. This year we have 15 countries represented, and then 29% of our upper school students are residential students, and 23% of the international students are Chinese. So we always try to keep that number below 35% of any one nationality. Just because we like the diversity, and I think it's really exciting that we have 15 countries represented right now. It just gives students an opportunity to get to know other students from different backgrounds and cultures too. We are the #1 Catholic boarding school in Minnesota. We are among the top 5% of independent private schools, boarding schools in the US. We just got word from niche.com, if you're all familiar with that. So just a nice website to check out some rankings. All right, so our academics and signature programs, I did touch on this, Tina, a little bit, but I'll talk about it a little more. So we are a college prep school, so that means all of our core classes are already going to be more rigorous than a traditional public school. So each year students have the required core classes that they need to take. But then on top of that, they have more opportunities for AP classes, honors level courses, and then the college classes through the university as well. I kind of touched on the Aspire to Excellence, which is a curriculum where students will have the opportunity to earn merits, and that's kind of additional to their basic coursework. And then students can graduate with honors in certain areas. So if they, let's say, for example, want to go into the STEM field for college, they can really focus on that distinction area of science and mathematics and earn merits in those areas. So then on their diploma, it will show that they're graduating with honors in the STEM area. Average class size is about 15, so it really depends on the class, but it's usually no more than 20 students. We have a really good student to faculty ratio. We try to keep it small because we're very hands-on, and we really believe that the smaller the class, the better, just for that learning and getting to know the faculty members, working with them one-on-one. Typical daily schedules, it's, very similar to other schools, I would say, as far as the classes. There are 8 periods a day, and classes go from 8 to 3. And then for 2 hours after school, we typically leave time for activities and athletics. I would say 98% of our students are involved in at least one activity or athletic event. It's pretty rare that they're not involved in anything. So we have a lot of options for students to be involved. And then we have a structured study time after dinner. So they'll have a few hours of dinner and free time. And then we every night from Sunday to Thursday have a structured study time. The cool thing is we do have tutors who come by and they help at no additional cost. So we have the university students who will come and help tutor. My mom's actually a volunteer tutor. She taught English for 40 years and she's retired now. But we have some volunteer tutors coming and helping our students with, particularly their English homework, but we have tutors in a lot of different areas where they can get help with homework if they need it too. And then we have a quiet time, usually around 10 is when we want lights out for our students. So these are the recent college acceptances. I did send my school profile over to Letitia, but if anyone wants to know more specifically about like where our international students are going, I tried to pull a list of where mainly our international students have gone the last several years. But this is just a snapshot of some of those colleges that our students have either been accepted to or are currently enrolled in now. So very common for students, especially international students, to end up going to the coasts for college. And we understand that, and that's okay. We have a really dedicated college counselor who works with our students and helps them achieve their goals based on where they want to go and what they want to study. So, NYU, UC San Diego, Tufts University, Brown, Berkeley, Grinnell, Boston, Vassar, Duke, Notre Dame, Columbia. Those are just some of the colleges that our students have been accepted to in the last couple of years. Athletics and activities. So like I said, we have students be very involved while they're at St. John's Prep. We have 12 competitive athletic programs. So that would include soccer, baseball, tennis, swimming, Nordic skiing, cross country, track, basketball, softball. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but in the next slide, I will have a complete list of activities in athletics. Intramural offerings are kind of where students can play a sport or do something and it's not as competitive. So it's more like a club. And then, like I said, our students can use the athletic facilities at the university, which is really nice. They have a great workout room, rock climbing wall, big swimming pools, weight rooms. And then we have the football stadium and different fields too for athletic activities. A lot of clubs and organizations. The cool thing is our clubs rotate and change every year just based on our student interests. So our students are the ones who are leaders of the clubs and either like a president or they can be the treasurer or secretary of their own club. And they can really take the initiative to be a leader and start their own club. So every year we have a club fair where students can propose a club, and then they just need a faculty advisor or staff advisor and get some students involved. So it's really cool to see what our students are doing. It's a great way to add something to their college application and their resume as well. And then a lot of service opportunities. So we have a lot of our boarding students right now volunteering at the hospital. We do a lot of food shelters. We do a lot of volunteering and service opportunities, and we will help transport our students to these opportunities. Just a great way to help out. It looks great on a college application too. And then if they're part of National Honor Society, they need so many volunteer hours. So we really help with that. So this is kind of a comprehensive list of what we offer. So esports is really big right now. I think we're number 2 in the state for esports, which is video games. So League of Legends, Minecraft, Rocket League. Fall sports, yep, they like their video games. Fall sports, we have girls and boys soccer, cross country, tennis, swimming. Winter would be basketball, Nordic skiing, and hockey. And then spring sports, baseball, softball, track and field, and tennis. We also have football as a co-op sport. So if students wanted to play American football, they can play with another team in the area. And then we have the intramurals, including dance, hiking, soccer, badminton, and this is from last year, all the clubs that were organized by students. So some of them stay the same, student council, we have student senate, National Honor Society, class ambassadors, Knowledge Bowl. We have a really robust robotics team that compete nationally. Math team is really big, chess club, board games club, music exploration. We have a journal where students can publish their work. Either essays or illustrations, and that's published every spring. We have a student newspaper, yearbook, so just a lot going on, a lot of ways students can get involved. And like I said, be a leader and start their own club. Fine arts, I would say, is something we're more known for at St. John's Prep. We have just a really big, robust fine arts program. We have for music, multiple bands, choirs, and orchestras. So we have a pep band and then a jazz band and just a regular band. For choir, we have the chamber singers, which is a smaller group, and then a bigger concert choir, and then orchestra, we have a couple ensembles as well. Theater, we usually do 4 or 5 productions every year. So we have a very big theater department. We are the only high school that's allowed to use the local city theater. It seats over 1,000 people, and usually we sell out. For our school is just known for their theater. So we do a lot of plays in the fall and winter, and then in the spring we do a big musical, which is a lot of fun. And then a lot of visual arts too. So we have painting, drawing, photography, sculpture, ceramics. We have 3D art now. Students can get involved in the yearbook. And then, like I said, students can take college classes in art if they would like to be more advanced, and take some college level art classes too. Student services that we offer are very extensive. We really want our students to feel like they have a solid support network while they're at St. John's Prep, and even after. We like to check in sometimes. So we do offer ESL services. So we have intermediate and advanced. When a student applies, we will need that English proficiency exam score, and I'll go over that at the end of the application process. The nice thing is our ESL services are all included in the total cost, just nothing extra. So typically, if a student is like a B1 intermediate level, they'll start at an intermediate class, which is 2 class periods every day. And then they would go to advanced probably the next year, and that would be 1 class, ESL class a day. And then they would graduate to our regular English classes. So we have a very extensive ESL department. And like I said, we offer tutoring as well if students need that extra help. College counseling and preparation is really a big deal at Prep as well. So Mrs. Zimmerman is our college counselor, and she actually starts with students grade 6, even with a little bit of like major exploration or just learning about how to look at jobs for the future. But really 9th and 10th grade is when she starts with testing preparation, with college search, with major exploration. She helps with recommendation letters. She takes students on tours. She does a lot of work with our students. She meets with students one-on-one quite frequently, at least once a semester, but tries to more, just to help students kind of figure out where they want to go to college, how to start that process. We also host webinars for families too. So we held a webinar last week, and I do have a recording. If anyone's interested, I can send that. And we had an admissions rep from Boston University, and then an alumni who's at Tufts now, and just talking about the college search process, because it can be a lot, right? It's a lot to look into. So Mrs. Zimmerman's really good at helping families too with just that preparation. We have an international student advisor who's really, their job is to check in with the students and families on I think a bi-weekly basis, but usually with a student on a weekly basis. Just check in with their grades, make sure everything's going well. If they need to change their courses, they'll help with that. If they need to get tutoring set up, they'll help with that. So it's just kind of that extra layer of support. We have an on-campus health clinic, and then we also have resident staff who are available to drive a student to a doctor's appointment or to get medication. Safety and security is a really big one. The great thing is, because we're on a college campus, we do have a life safety department who is always on our campus 24/7. We are in a safe area. We're kind of in a more rural area, 2,900 acres of woods. So we don't have a lot of crime, or we're not in a big city. So we have a really solid security department kind of watching out for our students. Another kind of feature for our students is there's an app called Aura on their phone. And this will allow students to check in or out of the residence hall, of the school, library. If a student wants to maybe go to a friend's house, they need to get permission from a parent. And parents can usually set that up, how much or little they want to be involved with that. But it's just kind of an added layer of protection for the student and for the family to know where their student's at. And then transportation is all included too. So we have 5 residence directors who live on campus. and they are the ones who kind of help the students with appointments if they need to go into the mall. They plan excursions every weekend as well, which I'll touch on. But we do have that transportation, and then we have the free bus that goes into St. Joseph, which is the closest town, where students can go shopping or go to restaurants or go to the College of St. Benedict as well. All right, and then the residential life program. So our students live in, it's called St. Michael's Hall, and it was renovated in 2020, right before COVID hit. But we did a $5.5 million renovation to the residence hall. So this is just a photo of the new kitchen. We have a really big community kitchen overlooking the lake where students can cook together and share meals together. There are two different villages. There's the boys and girls side, and those are locked and they have to use a key card to get in. So they are separated. There are visiting hours during the day, but otherwise those are separate villages. And each village has a big fireplace in it. They have couches and like a TV for like movie nights. They have little study nooks, just a lot of different decorations, I guess, for students to feel really at home and comfortable in their village. They each get their own kitchenette as well. And of course, like boys and girls have their own bathrooms, not in the room, but there's like a fully stocked like showers and toilets on either side as well. And then laundry is also included with the cost. There's no extra cost for that. Like I said, 5 staff living there in the apartments, like on the campus in the residence hall. So there's always someone on call available to help students if they need it. We have the on-campus dining. So because we're on a college campus, there are quite a few more dining options for our students. And they get an unlimited meal plan at the refectory, which is the college like dining area. So that would be kind of all kinds of food. And then there's a couple restaurants and a coffee shop as well. Snack bar, restaurant in St. John's Prep School in our building too for lunch. A lot of weekend activities. So every weekend we'll have an event planned and students can choose to go or they don't have to go. It's kind of up to them. Something new that we started this year, it's called Home Away from Home. And it's a program where we pair international students with a domestic family. So it's not a homestay, but it's kind of like a way for a student to get connected with a family who lives in the US and give them that American experience. They might invite them for Thanksgiving dinner. They might take them to a baseball game or to a play or a concert. It depends on what the student wants to do. And I'm actually hosting a student as well. So it's been really fun to kind of give her that American experience while she's here. So that's just another kind of special thing that we do with our students. And that again is no extra cost to the students. And then breaks. So typically we're open every break except for the winter break. We are closed, but we do help pair a student with like a domestic family, or a lot of students will go home for the holidays since we have a 3-week break. But if they can't, we can kind of help them find like a domestic family to stay with while they're here. Otherwise, all of the other breaks like spring break, fall break, Thanksgiving, Easter break, we remain open during those times if they would like to stay on campus. All right, and then tuition and fees. So this year, for 22-23, the total cost is around $55,300. That would include tuition, room and board. That would include insurance, fees, books, technology, athletics, ESL, transportation, etc. So everything is included in that cost. We do give scholarships just based on merit, financial need. It's really on a situational basis. So we don't have like one scholarship amount for each specific student. It's really depending on that individual student situation. So I'm always happy to discuss scholarship options too. And then once a student is at St. John's Prep every year, they can apply for additional scholarships for like academics if they're doing well, or we have a lot of donors who give different types of scholarships for clubs or sports, that kind of thing. So they always have an opportunity to apply for additional scholarships. So the application process, it's pretty easy. There's just an online application that students can fill out, $175 application fee. And then we would just need the official school transcript, English proficiency exam. So we would take the TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo. We're pretty flexible with what we accept for the English proficiency exam. And then English and math recommendation letters. So those actually are found right on the website application, where you can request it and send it off to your English and math teacher, and they can just fill out the form for you. And then we would schedule an interview after you submit all of those documents. So we are accepting students for spring as well. We do accept students for spring start. So if students like to start in January, they have that option. And we do have a couple spaces available yet for spring. So if anyone would be interested in that, feel free to reach out to me. So that is the application process. And I think that is all I have for a PowerPoint. This is my information here. So my name is Molly again. I am the Assistant Director of Admission. I work with all the international and domestic boarding students. This is my email, and then I also have WhatsApp and I have WeChat as well. So I'm very flexible and open to chatting with anyone, whoever has questions for me, or just wanted to do an individual Zoom meeting. I'm always happy to do that to answer any questions as well. Perfect. So I think that is all I have. And then we could answer some questions.
Thank you so much, Molly. Looks like we got a couple of questions here. I'm super excited to hear that. One thing that I noticed is that there's pairing students with local families. Mm-hmm. That is awesome, especially helpful to international students. And I feel like with TOEFL exam, TOEFL test, okay, students, they do have their language ability to come to the US. However, that cultural piece is something that they really do not get overseas, which makes this opportunity, being able to spend time and staying with local families, like just to see what American families are like. I think that is extremely helpful to international students, and they can actually get this real experience. Like I have dealt with students who come from overseas, and teachers like, they only spend time with their peers from the same country. And I feel like the teachers feel like almost like bad for them, like they feel like they're missing out, which in some ways, it's kind of true. I mean, we do understand, students tend to feel more comfortable and same cultural background and share similarities with friends who are also coming from the same countries. However, you're in the US and get this real authentic experience is super valuable. And I think that is that's the value of being overseas, traveling, right? To get to know what it is like the real life of the local families. So I think that really stands out to me. Besides that, I can definitely tell that St. John's, you guys are really you guys focus and even embedded like this college prep into your curriculum. You've already thought, you've already planned ahead for the students, academic wise, of course, those AP classes, on top of that, community services, extra clubs. And again, that is all something that we all know that when it comes to college applications, these are all needed, right? So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Molly, for sharing.
Of course. You're welcome.
All right. Well, now let's take a look at, I think we have a mom, Jessie. So she said the 3 to 5 p.m. activity, athletics time, are the activities on campus part of school program, or students have to go somewhere, stadiums, to practice? And is there going to be extra cost?
Good question. Yeah. So All of our athletic activities are on our campus. So they practice on our fields, depending on the sport. But they would practice on campus, and then they might have games that are like away games with another school. But we would provide busing and like provide everything for that. So there's no extra cost for athletics with us. It's all kind of built into the total cost. There's two exceptions to that. So we do have hockey and football are considered co-op sports. And so those are played with other teams that are in the area. And that's the reason for that is because we just don't have enough students to have our own team. So we kind of join it's called like Central Minnesota team, essentially, where there's a few different high schools that are part of this team. And for that, there would be like hockey, I know is kind of an expensive sport. So I know there are some additional fees with that. But there's no like transportation fee. Typically our students will just get a ride with like a day student who is in that sport. We wouldn't expect them to like book a taxi or, anything like that at an additional cost. It's usually just maybe like equipment for hockey that they'd have to pay for. But for all of our other sports like swimming, basketball, soccer, baseball, cross country, any of those sports, those 12 that I had mentioned, there's no extra cost, and those are all on our campus. And if there is an away game, we provide the transportation and busing to that event.
Thank you. Jessie, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. And what are included in athletics? How about students participating in competitive sports?
Did I answer that question, Jessie, or do you feel like you need clarification?
I think just one clarification for students who are competing, for example, nationally, has to travel to another state. How will the school support that, or parents has to arrange flights, hotel, like those kind of long travel national competitions? Thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know about that. Honestly, like our sports teams don't necessarily travel out of state. Like we're not like some boarding schools are very much like known for their athletics. And our athletics are good, but they're not like, we're more focused on academics, I would say, as our school. So I usually tell students who are like, oh, I want to be a hockey player or a football player, and that's my main focus. I say, like, maybe we aren't the best fit for you because we're looking for students who are kind of first focused on academics and then like are in sports additionally. So typically our games are kind of within the Minnesota League. We might have away games that are like a couple hours away, but as far as I know, we don't like fly students to different states or anything, because we're not in that division, if that makes sense. Like I know some schools are in a higher division where they're competing with schools from like different states and go to like championships and everything. I think most of our games stay in Minnesota, and I could check on that. Again, I'm not like super well versed with all of our athletics necessarily, so I could be wrong, but as far as I know, we kind of keep everything more in the Minnesota area, and that there would be no additional cost for that. No problem, Jessie.
All right. I'm going to switch over to Chinese a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah. 各位家长，我跟大家就是做个简单的 sum up，就是刚刚他讲了，譬如说他们的师生比1:5，我觉得这个也是非常特别的，就是 boarding school。然后再来就是他们在学术部分的一个强调。刚刚Jessie 问了2个非常好的问题，就是有关体育方面的体育项目方面。那如果说学生在体育部分是很强的。 可能我们就知道，像这所学校，它就是比较是针对在学术上面的，很帮你们学术做好准备，然后让你去申请大学的。所以可能在体育的部分，不是说只是他们学校所强调的一个项目。不过当然，他们也有体育的项目，就是支持学生们，如果学生是有兴趣的话。然后再来就是我刚刚听到了一个，就是我觉得非常非常有价值的，就是他们学校会帮学生，就是跟他们当地的家庭跟美国的家庭，尤其是如果你是留学生，你遇到比如说假期你没有地方去，或者是还不想回国的话，那他们也会帮你就是找到当地的家庭，美国的家庭，让学生去跟美国的家庭做互动。然后真正的去感受在美国的文化跟譬如说美国过节的一些氛围等等的，那我觉得这些都是可能就是其他的一些寄宿学校是我比较没有听见的，我觉得是相当特别的。那再来就是当然他们对第二语言的支持，他们也想要知道你的程度，你进来这边念书，你的语言能力怎么样？不过如果说你的语言能力你其他部分都很强，但是就是语言能力还没有达标的话，那他们也会提供给您的孩子的一些协助。然后再来就是刚刚他也回答了就是 Jason 那2个问题，他说基本上他们的只要你是他们的 club 的一些活动，学校就是你付的学费基本上是全部支持的，包括说你如果是在当地要离开就是学校到当地的学校跟其他的学校比赛，就是他们学校也会提供就是 bus 的部分，就是带学生去参加比赛。那至于如果说是跨州的部分，他就说他还不是特别确定，所以他会再跟你就是你们回答。不过他刚刚也强调，就是目前而言基本上都是在当地的比赛居多，好像就是到外面比赛的还比较少，还不知道的。所以到目前为止，我不知道家长还有没有任何的问题，如果有尽管提出。我觉得我们这样的一个session 的好处就是大家都可以，就是像聊天一样，把你想要问的问题就都说出来。我看到 Tina 有个问题，Mom, there's a question from Tina for you. She said, "How do you support visual art and musical students?"
Sure. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, sorry. It said my internet was unstable, so I apologize if I cut out. So I saw that question in the chat, and I'm pulling up a PowerPoint. I won't share it, but I just wanted to like look through it to see some of the extra things we do for our art students. So as I had mentioned, we do have a very big like fine arts, including visual arts, music, and theater program. So for our 9th and 10th grade, they are required to take 2 semesters of art classes, whether it be visual, music, or theater classes, but they can take more. So the great thing about this Aspire to Excellence curriculum is they can focus on visual arts and performing arts as 2 out of the 8 distinctions that they would like to earn merits in. And by doing, by maybe like playing in the pit for the musical, they could earn a merit, or doing like a competition for art, entering a competition, because we have different opportunities for that. I focus on the arts as like their main area for their elective classes if they would like. And then it says they also take 2 semesters in 11th and 12th grade as well. I'm happy to send, we have like a course catalog. So Letitia, if that would be helpful for you, just so you can see kind of some of the classes our students can take. In the arts area, I think that's really helpful to kind of see what classes we offer. For music, we have a lot of performance opportunities around the area and the greater Minnesota area. So even in like the Twin Cities, our students will go. Students can be part of like a solo or ensemble group. So we have different types of groups for students to join even outside of the prep school, more in the community. And then they can take master level classes like through the university as well, and partner with other schools, just because we are a smaller school, but we like to collaborate with other groups in the area too. We, like I said, for music, students can be in the pit orchestra. So every musical we do in the spring, our orchestra plays the score, which is really cool. So they can be part of that. They can join jazz band or another like concert ensemble or pep band, just depending on if she played an instrument or sang. They could kind of join whatever they're interested in. And then we offer all state competitions. So our students can audition to participate in competitions and go to the state level and sometimes the national level in either orchestra or band or choir. So they have that option as well. And then visual arts, like I said, we have a lot of different types of classes. They can do like a junior and senior capstone class for visual arts. And that's just really where they're kind of really strengthening and perfecting their skill sets. If students want to go to college for that, that's where they'd meet with Mrs. Zimmerman and then probably the art teachers, either art or music early on, and kind of make a plan on like how to get certain merits and how to graduate with distinction in those areas. Just so then when they're applying for schools, focus on the arts, they have a really strong resume or CV when they're applying. So yeah, we have a very strong arts program, a lot of like extra things students can do. And again, you know, Letitia, if there's anything I can send you that can help explain that better, I'm happy to do that. So hopefully that explains most of it for you.
I want to add that, hi, Molly. I just want to add that is it possible that the reason you only do like a ground transportation for the competitions because for those high school students who need to go to fly out of state, they can do that by themselves because they're at this age.
Right. Yes. If they have to go somewhere out of state, that would be on them to pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And also I want to add that, so it's really good that because lots of Chinese students, they don't have the Catholic background. Mm-hmm. So it's good that you have like more than 60% of students and from non-like backgrounds, they will feel more comfortable, like at the school. Another thing I've noticed is that you're talking about the International Honor Society. Is that one of the clubs you have? I know that you have the National Honor Society. That's for community service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the national. Are you talking about the National Honor Society?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's national, not international.
Well, so yeah, I mean, it's just called National Honor Society, but any student can join it. And it's kind of more like service opportunities and honestly, just something that will look really good on a college resume and application. So students can apply to be part of that if they would like at the prep school, just like an extra club they can do.
Mm-hmm. And also another thing is that, so you mentioned that you add the AP course and you're going to continue add more. Mm-hmm. Right now in like a test optional environment, it seems that St. John's still value academic excellence a lot. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. So you are right that the test optional thing is happening and it's very real. And we had a webinar last week and talked to some admission reps from, like I said, Boston University and University of Minnesota. And they were talking about how testing just isn't as important anymore. What is important is the classes that students are taking. So the types of classes that show more rigor and more higher levels of achievement, I suppose. And then also they had stressed the significance of students being very well-rounded and involved. So they said the testing isn't as important as SAT, ACT. It's just not as important as it was 5 years ago or even a few years ago. I think things are really shifting to a more holistic application process. an approach. And my background is in higher ed. So before working at the boarding school, for the last 10 years, I was working at college institutions. So I'm very familiar with like the college application process and kind of how that's shifted. But yeah, St. John's Prep, we're very focused on academics still and the academic rigor, and really want to help students with where they're at individually, because we know every student's different in what their goals are and where they're applying. And every college is a little different in what they're looking for as well, as far as an applicant. So we're not as obsessed with testing anymore, because all the colleges we've talked to just say that's not the number one thing anymore. But it's really the types of courses, showing a variety of courses that students are taking, whether that be AP or, like I said, the college courses will help set them apart. So taking a variety of courses, and then doing extra stuff too, besides just academics, being very involved.
Yeah, this is very important. I want to phrase it in Chinese.
Sure, absolutely.
对，所以很多家长都在关心，现在都是可选的标化考试，像 SAT 考试不是必要的了。那么怎么去解读这个可选？也就是说，越来越多的大学他都选择，就是说你可以考 SAT， 也可以不考 SAT。那么你在高中的时候，就是刚才 Molly 说的，你在高中的时候，你选的课的难度，那就更重要，你的成绩单的权重就会更大。所以这也是为什么他们学校就是会增加，逐步他们现在是有12门 AP 课，他们会增加到更多。今年，也就是说能够帮助到学生在申请大学的时候，向大学展示我们学校的学生选的课程是有含金量的，是有难度的。还有另外一个，有很多家长也一直在，几乎每个家长都会问一定要一个体育吗？我们申请美高，其实不是这样的，也就是最关键的是找到你合适的学校。那么这所学校，刚才毛里在回答前面那个家长的问题的时候，就明确的说了，他们对于体育，就说体育就是强身健体的目的，不一定你一定要就是说去全美国去打比赛，跨州比赛，那么在州内有校际比赛。这样的比赛，他们就觉得就是锻炼这种体育精神，这种团队精神，锻炼学生的意志力，以这个为目的，而不是说以这个体育把你往体育生那边去培养，而更加是一个广泛的身体素质和精神意志的一个培养。所以不喜欢体育的孩子，或者是觉得体育是你的一个短板的孩子，那么这样你就知道现在你可以你去选学校的时候怎么去选了。Okay, that's it.
Great. Do we have any other questions for me?
And also one last quick question. So the scholarship is open to international students?
It is, yes. So, and it's not the same process as domestic students, just because we aren't able to verify like tax information, obviously, like we could with domestic. So it is a very individualized process. And so if a family, comes to me with a situation and their student is very bright and like would be a really good fit for St. John's Prep, and the family says, oh, we have a budget where we need like a $10,000 scholarship, for example, or, again, it's really, I'm open to that discussion. And so the financial committee is who ultimately decides kind of what we can give. But we are definitely open to giving scholarships. And we do realize that full pay is not super realistic for every family anymore. And that's just how it is. And we understand that. And we want to be more accessible to more students. So yes, again, happy to have that conversation with families who, if there's someone who really wants to come to St. John's Prep and they think that it's a really good fit for them, and we also think they're a great fit for our school, then we're definitely happy to have those conversations about a scholarship. And then once we do award a scholarship, that is renewable every year that they're here.
That is very helpful that you open this to international students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
所以说，就是说，有一些家长觉得，如果说这个学费，有点吃力的话，经济压力比较大的话，他们因为，毛利说他们的那个学校的那个捐款，就是说校友捐款还是非常雄厚的，他们这个基金，他们财务状况非常的健康，所以他们是会考虑，会对国际学生也考虑给那个捐款，但是因为你是如果说是美国的学生的话，你申请那个 financial aid，他会要你提交税表，但是对于国际学生你没有税表，那么你就是干 case by case，那么你告诉，如果说你能够 demonstrate 学生非常的优秀，学校非常的想要你去，那么你在那个时候跟学校去沟通。OK， we have one family joined in the last minute.
Oh. Well, luckily it's recorded too, right? So that's
Yes.
send that to anyone who missed.
Maybe because different time zones could be really
Oh, it
confusing.
can be
Yeah.
confusing. Yeah, I'm in Central right now. So, and I almost thought like, because you had said 8:30, and then I was like, no, it's 7:30 here. So I have to log
Right.
in. Yeah, I had to remind myself. Yes, time zones
Yeah,
can be confusing. I get that. So,
Yep, we got families all over in the US, and not only in the US, in Asia, and
Also,
some
yeah.
families are at different places. The
right.
time zones could be really tricky.
I get that for sure.
So how many students stay over during Thanksgiving and Christmas for international students?
Yeah, good question. I would say, you know, the last couple years it was a lot more because of COVID, because they couldn't fly home to go, you know, to go home for like the winter break. So we did keep the residence hall open for the winter break as well last year. The hope is this year things will settle down a little bit, or this next year with COVID, where students could go home. But, you know, I would say probably like half of students for Thanksgiving. This year it'll probably be less because we really want to encourage students to stay with a family for that break, just to give them that experience of Thanksgiving, because that's a big American holiday. So they don't have to do that, but we want to offer that opportunity for them to stay with like a family for Thanksgiving break anyway. But for winter break, I would say a majority of students go home. Probably like 90% of students go home. And then the remaining, like I said, we can kind of help set up a, like, I don't want to call it a homestay because that's not necessarily what it is, but for example, we have a student from Vietnam who, you know, she's like, I don't have a place to go in the winter break because I can't go home. It's just too expensive. And so we paired her with a domestic family, and they're happy to take her in. So we have, our families are very nice at Prep, and they like to help out international students. And that's, I think it's good for domestic students too, to get to know an international student. That's just a really unique experience for the day students too. So I'm sorry, I don't have a percent of students who stay and go, but like I said, it's kind of up to the student and their family situation. And like I said, we can help accommodate whatever needs to be done.
Okay, great.
That is
So
great.
it's fine. And anyone who's interested or have any question, let us know either for the spring or for the fall.
Yep, we do have spring start still, and that we probably want to get the ball rolling pretty soon here because that starts January 4th. But we do allow students to come a little late if they need to, just with visa stuff. Otherwise, yeah, fall 23, we have space available still for that. So yeah. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions in the future, like, you know, do a separate Zoom meeting or another Zoom meeting to answer more specific questions. I'm always happy to do that.
And we'll see you in November. Are you going?
Are you going?
In November?
So you're attending ICA this year in fall?
Oh, and ICA. I will actually be in Saudi Arabia at that time. Yeah, I'm doing a fair. Thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm doing there's like a small, or it's like it's some kind of boarding school fair. So that will be in Saudi Arabia, and then I'm going to Korea right after that. So unfortunately, I won't do IECA this fall, but I want to do it next year. One of their conferences would be great. So
Saudi Arabia is good.
it'll be interesting. Yeah, I've never been, so we'll
Yeah.
see. But I think it'll be an adventure. So
Yeah.
great. Well,
What's-
Letitia, I'll be in touch with you just
Sure.
to follow up, and like if there's anything else I can send or any questions you receive after this, you can always send that to me too.
Definitely will do. Thank you so much, Molly. That was great.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope you all have a good night or day, whatever time it is.
Same
All
to
right.
you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Letitia. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah.
Amber, same to you.